You guys have been asking for some dairy-free keto recipes. Well, I have 4 of them for you today, and these are just gonna be favorites that normally aren't dairy-free, but I'm gonna make them dairy-free. Let's get started. So whether you're dairy-free because you can't tolerate dairy, or you've hit a plateau and you're trying to maybe incorporate some less dairy or dairy-free options into your keto diet in order to drop a few extra pounds, these recipes are gonna be for you. First up, I'm gonna show you how to make a simple dinner. This is a 1-pot meal. We're gonna make some chicken and rice, and this is gonna be completely dairy-free, but it's still gonna be creamy. To start, I'm gonna work by prepping my ingredients for this keto chicken and rice dish. So I have some chicken thighs here that I am chopping up into little chunks. And now the knife that I'm using is by a company called Misen, and they just happened to sponsor today's video. Misen believes that better tools make for better cooking experiences and meals, and it all starts with the most important tool of the kitchen, which is the chef's knife. Buying a knife from Misen means that you can get quality at a good price. Misen knives are all made from premium materials like high-grade stainless steel. This helps them stay sharper longer, and they can last a lifetime. On top of that, Misen knives are 2 to 3 times less expensive than other premium chef's knives. I was amazed at how I was able to cut through these chicken thighs with ease. I even chopped up the rest of my ingredients like the cherry tomatoes and the basil, and the knife just slid right through. I have been loving this knife, and the Misen chef's knife is designed to replace an entire set of knives. Click the link in the description box and use code KetoFocus to get 20% off your first order. Now that I have all of my chicken and vegetables chopped up, it's time to get to this recipe. So to a skillet, I'm going to be adding in some olive oil. And then 1 clove of garlic, or you could use 1 teaspoon of garlic paste like I'm using here. Let that cook until the garlic is fragrant, and then we're gonna add in our chopped up chicken thighs. Next, add in a little salt and pepper just for some flavor, and we're gonna cook our chicken thighs until it's fully cooked through. Next, we're gonna remove the chicken from the skillet and leave in all of those bits and pieces and juices and oil still in that skillet. I'm gonna add in a 1/4 cup of chicken broth. And then goes in our sliced tomatoes. This is about 1 cup of sliced up cherry tomatoes. And then add a little sprinkle of salt just to help some of your juices release from your tomatoes. And we're gonna cook these down until our juices have released. And this is actually gonna create our creamy sauce for our chicken and rice dish without having to use any dairy products. Once your tomatoes have released their juices and they've been cooking for a while, we're gonna add in around 2 cups of spinach leaves. Cook that down until the leaves have wilted. Add back in your chicken, and then we're gonna kill the heat and finish this dish off with some rice. I'm gonna use hearts of palm rice. I'll have it listed down below in the description box for you guys if you're interested in using hearts of palm rice, but you could also use cauliflower rice too if you'd prefer that, or even noodles. If you wanna use zucchini noodles, this would also be delicious in this dish. And then for some flavor, I'm gonna add in some lemon juice. This is 3 tablespoons of lemon juice going in, and then 2 tablespoons of sliced basil leaves. And that's it. This makes for a quick 1-pot, weeknight, easy keto dinner, chicken and rice. Up next, I'm going to show you how to make a cake. So this is a coffee cake that I'm making for you guys today, and it's going to be completely dairy-free. So we're actually not going to be using any butter in it as well, or any milk or cream or sour cream or anything like that. In a large bowl, you're going to add 1/2 cup of coconut oil, and don't worry, this cake will not taste like coconut. So don't be frowning away from the coconut oil. Trust me, it's still gonna be delicious. We're also gonna add 3/4 cups of a golden sweetener. I'm using monk fruit based sweetener. You could use whatever sweetener you want. You're gonna cream that together until it's smooth and creamy. And then mix in 2 eggs and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Set set those wet ingredients aside and then work on our dry ingredients. In a medium bowl, I'm gonna add 1¼ cups of almond flour, 1/4 cup of coconut flour, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We're gonna whisk these dry ingredients together, and then we're gonna slowly add these into our wet ingredients, mixing in between. Along with 1/2 cup of macadamia nut milk. You could use whatever nut milk you wanted, whether it was almond or coconut milk, and then 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. Continue mixing until your batter is smooth and combined. And then I'm gonna pour this into a prepared bundt cake that I've sprayed with some cooking spray. You could use a loaf pan if you wanted, or a sheet pan as well, but I'm gonna use a small bundt pan. I'll have the one I'm using listed down below in the description box. You wanna fill it until it reaches around like 3/4 of the way full. I don't really recommend adding too much past that, just because there will be some rising of this bundt cake that it does. Just to make sure, I would just recommend putting a baking sheet underneath it as it bakes, just so it doesn't spill out if you do actually add the whole thing to the pan. We're gonna bake this in a 325-degree oven for around 40 to 50 minutes. You just wanna bake it until it's no longer liquidy or jiggly when you move it. You want to let the cake cool for a few minutes before loosening it from the edges. Flip it over onto a wire rack, and then we're going to make a little cream sauce to go on top. I'm going to combine 1/4 cup of powdered sugar into around 2 tablespoons of melted butter, and then mix that together. And then I'm going to add around 2 to 3 tablespoons of nut milk, just to get it to be like a thin, pourable consistency, so that we can drizzle this all over our bundt cake. And then topped with sliced almonds. And your dairy-free coffee cake is done. Up next, I'm going to show you how to make ice cream, and we're going to make it dairy-free. This is a vanilla ice cream. You can use this as a base for other types of ice cream recipes, whether you want to make a dairy-free chocolate or strawberry, bubblegum, mint, whatever you want to do. This will be your base for making dairy-free keto ice cream. In a medium bowl, we're going to combine 2 cans of unsweetened coconut milk, 1/3 cup of powdered sweetener of your choice. I'm going to be using a erythritol blend. Then add 1/8 teaspoon of salt to help bring out the sweetness and the flavor, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 2 teaspoons of vanilla paste. This is only adding that in there just so that we get those little flecks of vanilla. You could also scrape a vanilla bean too if you wanted to get more of that rich vanilla-y flavor and those little flecks that's iconic of vanilla ice cream. And then we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of vodka or white rum. And now, if you didn't want to add alcohol to this recipe, you could substitute by adding 1/4 cup of allulose syrup or chalk zero vanilla syrup. Those are options. I've even heard people using xanthan gum as well, like 1/2 teaspoon or a teaspoon of xanthan gum. That will also achieve the same effect of making your ice cream soft and creamy like the alcohol does. You want to whisk these together until they're combined, and then I'm going to store this in the refrigerator for a few hours just to help the flavors meld. This also helps with the creaminess and the softness of the ice cream. And then when you're ready to churn, just add it to your ice cream maker and churn away. If you didn't have an ice cream maker, you could get away with just blending this or beating it with an electric mixture until it's nice and fluffy, and then put it in a freezer safe container, freeze it, and then you'll get your scoopable ice cream. And the last recipe I'm going to show you how to make are some dairy-free waffles. So these are still low-carb, keto approved, but they're actually also vegan. And this waffle is going to be a chaffle. So if you guys have heard about the popular chaffles on the keto diet, a chaffle is just a keto waffle that is primarily made up of egg and cheese. However, since these are dairy-free and they're also vegan, we're not going to be using either egg or cheese. We're going to be using substitutes for those. To replace our egg, we're actually going to be making a flax egg. So in a small bowl, you're going to add 1 tablespoon of ground flax meal, and then add in 2.5 tablespoons of water. Stir that until it's combined, and then let it sit for around 5 minutes. When you come back, it's gonna be really goopy, just kind of like an egg, like the egg white consistency would be. And that goopiness is gonna help fluff up your waffle. Next, we're gonna add in our cheese. So like traditional chaffle, like I said, we usually add in some either shredded mozzarella cheese or cream cheese. With this waffle, I'm gonna be adding in both, but these are gonna be dairy-free cheeses. So I have 1/2 ounce of a dairy-free like mozzarella style cheese. So there's no dairy products in this. When it comes to selecting dairy-free cheeses, you really need to look in the back on the nutrition label, just because sometimes they can substitute in a lot of carbohydrates in place of that. So I recommend trying to find one that's like the lowest carbs and maybe has more clean keto friendly ingredients in it. You'll also need 2 tablespoons of coconut flour. And then for cream cheese, again, look for a dairy-free spreadable cream cheese. You'll just need 1 tablespoon that's softened. Next, add in a pinch of salt, mix this together until it's combined, and then just scoop it into your waffle maker and let it cook. I like to top mine with some delicious strawberry syrup. I have the recipe on my website, KetoFocus.com. Also have it listed down below for you as well. But it's just a simple syrup that I make using sweetener and strawberries, or you can just nix the sweetener and just have the natural sugars from the strawberries in there. I hope this video gave you guys some ideas of some delicious keto dairy-free recipes to make. Let me know down in the description box if you guys are dairy-free.